Good morning. I'm going to talk really quick about 3 books that I read this month and that I've completed this month. And this is the month of June, it's 2026. So I want to grab these 3 books, get them out there, and just share about them a bit. Maybe some of them less than others because I don't know. Probably because I think that in some respects, if I share too much, it takes away from the experience for someone else. Okay, the first one I finished this month is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Let me say, Pride and Prejudice is now one of my favorite books. I didn't read it and say, oh, this is like one of my favorite books now. I just kept going back to it and not being able to stop reading the book. You know, I kept going, oh, I finished this book, let's start again. And that's how I kind of learned that it was kind of becoming a favorite. So obviously Pride and Prejudice is easy. It is about a family of girls, and the mother is very concerned about getting husbands for the daughters, which confused me the first time that I ever looked at this book until I realized how important that was in their time, in the time that this was written in. Without good husbands, these girls would be destitute. And so this became a very important job for the mother. We learn about the character flaws. This is what makes this book more interesting. It's not just a fluffy book about finding husbands. I have real life things going on over here. We learn about the character flaws that each person has, both the mother, the daughters, the father, the suitors. We learn about people's character flaws. We learn about how society handles different aspects of real life. And we get to wrestle with that and argue with that. And we get to decide what we would do and what we think about characters. And I came away from this feeling that the typical view that people have about each character, I just don't have. I wish you'd stop doing that, darling. I just don't have. I don't have the same, everyone's so mad at Mr. Darcy, or people think, oh, Mr. Darcy grew so much during this book, but I am of the belief that Mr. Darcy always had in him what shines in this book. He was just reserved, and it came out in small doses, so to speak. Okay. But it is a deep book. It is not just a fluffy romance book. It's a deep book about characters, about people, about how different personalities choose to operate in different circumstances. And you can really see that shine as you get through the book. Okay, so that's one. I had a buddy read this month with my friend Beth. We read Christy by Catherine Marshall. I have to tell you, if you've never read this book, it is now seriously a favorite of mine. Now, I was introduced to Catherine Marshall as a child. I read her book, Something More, and that was the beginning of my introduction to Catherine Marshall. Believe it or not, I was like 11 or 12 years old. But I began to watch the television show that was based on Christy when I was young, when it first came out, and I always loved it. I watched it faithfully and loved it. And so when we decided to read this book, I had been putting this book off for 2 or 3 decades. I don't know why. I purchased it back then, but I'd been putting it off for 2 or 3 decades. I was very surprised that I had done that. And also, I was surprised that I wasn't sure I was going to be totally excited about reading the book, because I had loved the show, I'd loved the story, and I really liked Catherine Marshall. So I chose to listen to this book and follow along in the paperback. Kobo has if you have Kobo Plus, the book is on their subscription, and I strongly suggest listening to it. The star of the television show, she reads the book in the audio, and it's just such a great experience. This book just immersed me in faith and the questions about life and death and people and callings, vocations, what it means to love a people, what it means to help a people. What can you do? What should you do? Where are you called to? Why did you show up to this vocation? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? It causes you to wrestle. You wrestle a lot, and you grieve a lot, and you laugh a lot. I remember being in the very center of the book and thinking, I can't get enough of my Bible. I can't think enough about God and life and meaning and all these things. It just brought me through all of it. It was so good. It now is absolutely a favorite book of mine that I will return to again and again and again and again. The last book that I've completed, and we're halfway through the month, so I still have some time to read. But the last book that I've completed this month is Embers in the London Sky by Sarah Sundin. This book I started a couple months ago, and I was very slow in reading it, and finally I finished it this month. This is a slow developing story. Now, in the very first chapter, it just grabs you, and you think, oh, this is going to be a really powerful story. And then it slows down, and it stays slow through half of the book, and you think, she's reaching for things. She does not know how to make this half of the book interesting. She's just reaching for things. But if you don't quit reading, the last half of the book grabs you. It does. It grabs you. And you see all the circles, all the loops, kind of closed up, and you understand what's happened. And you finally see, what you hoped you would see. It's very much has the feel of the 1940s, and it's set in World War II, and you feel it in the writing, you feel it in the attitudes. I questioned a lot of our main character, she has, through no fault of her own and no choice of her own, she has lost her son, and she's trying to find him. And I'll leave you to discover the details as to why, but they're quite powerful. And I kept thinking through this book, why is she not reacting more? I mean, she just seems to be functioning as you would function. And then I thought about that time, that era, the just pull yourself up by the bootstraps, what it means to come from her homeland, what it means, the culture, the strength of the people. And I realized that probably it was very realistic the way she was reacting. It's just not the way I would react, and not the way I think we would react today. But it was a good story. I think if you want a story that is a good story that will give you some challenge to think about and just be kind of a swoony story as well, I think it's good for that. It's not going to be your deep, hard-hitting fiction. It definitely did not grab me the same way other books of hers have, but it's a good story, and I think it's worth reading, and I'll read it again. When I come to a place in my life when I just need a story that's going to be predictable, relaxing, characters that I can get to know, that I already know, Maybe I want to learn more about those characters. And I just want to, it's like when you reach for an old movie because you don't feel good. I'll definitely reach for this story. So it was good. And I don't know, I know I gave Christie, I would give Christie 5 stars. Pride and Prejudice, I would give 5 stars. Embers in the London Sky, I would probably give 4. It was good. I did not see the villain coming, and so that part was also good. Not until the end. They were enjoyable stories. I'm glad that I was able to read them, and now I'm ready to tackle others. What am I reading right now as we speak? Mansfield Park by Jane Austen is a book that I'm reading right now as we speak, and I'm really wrestling with it. I'm reading Agnes Grey, and I'm wrestling with that, but I'm wrestling with Mansfield Park more. And right now, I'm having a debate of characters between Jane Eyre and Fanny Price and what Agnes Grey would do in this situation with both of these young girls. So that's kind of where I'm at in my reading life right now this week. I hope to do an update again this month. I have a hard time being faithful to my updates, but I'm going to try.